Welcome back to the Postpartum Plan podcast. This podcast is designed to support and empower you through postpartum. Whether you're expecting, in the early postpartum days, or beyond, this space is for you. I'm your host, Madison Fugere, a dedicated postpartum doula and pediatric sleep consultant, striving to help parents feel confident and supported in their parenting journey. Each week, I'm sharing practical tips and expert advice to help you navigate all the postpartum things with confidence. Well, as much confidence as you can. Let's embark on this journey together, making your parenthood as serene and supportive as possible. Hello, postpartum besties, and welcome to the podcast. As you heard from your intro here just a second ago, my name's Madison, and I am your lovely host here on the Postpartum Plan. I'm super excited to be here with you guys today and to chat up a storm and give you some insider info on the name of the podcast, how it came to be, and what my hope is and what you can kind of expect to see and hear from going forwards. So like I said, I am super excited to be here. I have always wanted to have a podcast. If you know me in real life or you've talked to me ever, you know that I am one that always says that I never shut up. And so having a podcast just seems super fitting. The idea of being able to chat with people, offer information, connect with people, no matter where you're located or where you are, is so exciting to me. And you'll be hearing about me more specifically in the next episode. But for this episode, I wanted to chat more about the podcast itself. So first off, bear with me as I am taking these podcasts as a one take kind of thing. I am not the best editor, and so I am saving your ears by not even trying. So that means that I may stutter a bit. That means that I may trip up on my words and get ahead of myself because I talk quickly. See, already tripping up on my words. So bear with me on that. But yeah, so let's get into the podcast. Let's get talking about how it came to be, the name, and all of the process of this birth of this little podcast. And so, yeah, I've always thought a podcast would be so fun. I never really knew what I wanted to talk about, though. I find myself, multi-passionate, and I am always talking about different things. I am always willing to have a conversation. And so finding a topic that I thought I could have enough episodes on and that I would have enough drive to do and stay keeping up with and have people interested in joining me on here was a bit of a struggle. So for the past few months, I've been thinking and it kind of clicked. I was doing a prenatal presentation with a couple other professionals. If you're ever interested in a prenatal training, it's not training, I should say, a prenatal course. It's a mini course. It was 3 hours long, hosted by the Nest Birth Partners. And it was myself doing postpartum and sleep consulting. We had a lactation consultant. We had a birth worker who's a birth doula. We had a pelvic floor therapist. So you were getting lots of information on stuff. And when we originally were planning this, I was told to prep about 80% of my knowledge into this presentation. And after giving this first presentation, I learned quickly that 80% of what I know and what I have to share about postpartum and about sleep does not fit into 30 minutes. And so I was thinking about it and I was like, I wish I could just share my information with more people. I'm able to give postpartum support in person to people that are around me, and I'm able to offer sleep support to people all over the place since I do virtual sleep consulting. But what else can I share with people? And that's kind of when it clicked for me. I was listening to another friend's podcast. I was listening to Jane Havens's podcast called Becoming a Sleep Consultant, and it clicked for me. And I was like, that's what I should be doing. I should be talking about postpartum. And I was like, I have all this information. I can cut it down into small little episodes where every episode we talk about something different. I can do some solo episodes like I am here today. and I can talk about topics that I'm passionate about when it comes to the postpartum world and the birth world in general. But I can also use all of my amazing networking connections and amazing people that I know and I've made personal and professional relationships with, and bring them on and talk about things they're passionate about, because all of this information is so amazing, and to be able to share it with people who are going through such an emotional and overwhelming and transformative time is all I wanted to do. So from there, I said, all right, great, I'm going to do this, but what the heck am I going to name this podcast? There are so many podcasts out in the world. I was like, I don't even know if I want to research and find people and podcast names that are already existing, because then I'm just going to stress myself out even more. And so I was thinking about it, and I was like, during that same presentation, I was talking to these people that were at this event. And I've also talked to my postpartum clients about it before, about making a postpartum plan, because you hear everyone talking about how they make birth plans, right? People are deciding how they want to labor. They're deciding if they want medication or if they want to stay unmedicated. They're deciding, if they want skin to skin, delayed cord clamping, all of these things, right? But then this baby is born and handed to you, and you're in a hospital for, I don't know what, 2 to 6 days, depending on your birth. And then all of a sudden you're sent home with this tiny little alien, and you have no idea what you're doing. And people are asking to show up. People want to hold the baby. People want to help you. And all they end up doing is showing up and holding your child. And that's not helpful. And so, creating a postpartum plan can truly be such a transformative decision. Whether that be making a list of things that people can do and leaving it on the counter or something, so that when people do show up, they can say, hey, what can I do? And rather than being baffled and not knowing what to say, and not wanting to ask them to do something like clean your toilet, you can just say, hey, there's a list on the counter, actually. Do you mind checking that out? And that's something that I always suggest to clients, do that. Ask people to help you, because they want to help you. And if they don't know what to do, then they're going to end up holding your baby, sleeping and sitting on the couch. And it's just going to be the most awkward experience ever. And so that idea of creating a postpartum plan, and there's so much more to it, but I'm not going to get into depth on that right now. And that's kind of what I was like, that's what people need. And so hence the name, the postpartum plan. And that's where we are. So as we continue to chat here for a couple more minutes, I'd love to just share with you guys a bit of more information on what my hope is for this podcast, what you're going to expect to hear and see. Well, I guess not see, just hear, what you should, expect to see from me. So, from here, yes, I'm going to be doing some solo episodes. I'd love to talk about postpartum and different parts of it, baby basics, newborn basics. I'm a lover of sleep, and so being able to teach you tips and tricks on that. Overall, you're going to get information that's going to be, yes, talking about the postpartum period. So typically that's known as the first 3 months of life, which can also be known as the 4th trimester. However, I also have experience with children as a whole, and I have connections with people that are going to be giving information that may not be specific to the first 3 months of life. So, as much as we are calling this the postpartum plan, and it is going to be typically geared towards newborns and the postpartum period, you can also take a lot of this information and adapt it to about the first year or so of life. So, I'm going to be sharing information that you may relate to, that you may know about, that you may not know about, that you may not relate to. But as a whole, I just want to put more information out there in the world that make people feel like they have resources. The postpartum period is so anxiety ridden and stressful. And you often find yourself at 2 a.m. going to Google to ask questions. And Google is great, but Google is also horrible. And if you go to Google with a question, you're bound to find a million answers. And at 2 a.m., you're not going to know how to answer those. You're not going to know what's the best one. You're not going to be able to weed that out. And so I'm excited to bring information and reassurance and tips and tricks and support and all of these things to this podcast, so that if you are stressed about a specific topic, rather than going to Google and trying to read a million different articles to figure out, what is the truth, you can come here and you can listen to myself and some other professionals talk about that topic and find the parts of it that you relate to and that you want to use and that you want to implement in your life. So that's kind of my hope for this year. I'm really excited, like I said, to be able to bring on some other professionals as well and to use each episode to go a bit more into depth about different topics. So if there are topics that you guys are interested in hearing, if there are podcast professionals that you'd like to have here on the podcast with me, or if you have a specific person that you would love to see me collaborate with, I would absolutely love any insight or any input that you guys have for me. You can do that by heading over to my website and sending me an email. Or if you want to find me on social media, you can find my Facebook and my Instagram, which are both serenemoments.doula. So SERENE moments, MOMENTS.doula, which is spelled DOULA. And that's on Instagram and Facebook. And you can always send me a DM there. My DMs are wide open constantly. You'll also find some information on postpartum and sleep. You'll get updates on those social media accounts for when I am posting on this podcast. I don't have a specific, timeline or days that I'm going to be posting. And what I'm hoping to do, I'm not even going to say out loud because I don't want to have a week where it's super busy and have something happen. But that makes me not able to do that. But with all of that being said, I'm super duper excited to chat with you guys more, to offer more support, and to get to know all of my listeners and, where you guys are at in life and what you're needing for support. So continue to listen. And like I said, I am so excited to talk to you guys soon. And on my next episode, you'll hear a bit more about me, my background, and all of the things that go along with that. So thank you so much for listening to the first episode. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. Bye. Thank you so much for tuning into the Postpartum Plan podcast. I hope that today's episode brought you support, relatability, and valuable insight. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review and share with any of your prenatal and postpartum friends and family. Your feedback helps us reach more parents seeking support. And if you're looking for additional resources, please feel free to connect via Instagram at Serene Moments Doula for constant information, tips, and tricks, or check out my website, www.serenemomentsdoula.com. See you next week.